You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
We got to be very clear. We cannot allow Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis to become election year environmentalists. We're not interested in that.
Democrat Andrew Gillum looking to become the first Democratic Florida governor in 20 years, but they'll have to get past the Trump-endorsed Ron DeSantis first. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the race for governor in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. A big blow tonight for high school kids trying to start their college careers early through the State College of Florida. Starting next year, students taking courses at SCF through dual enrollment won't be able to take those classes at their high school. Students will still be able to get college credit, but they will have to take the classes online or at one of the SCF's 3 campuses. The State College of Florida tells us the District Board of Trustees approved the change last week after learning there were inconsistencies when classes were taught off-site. Manatee's school board chair says he was unaware of any issues.
If there were issues regarding, let's just say, how students were being graded, if they had recognized any disparities in that, the appropriate approach would have been to bring it to the school district's attention.
SCF says if the decision was strictly about inconsistencies but blaming faculty oversight and the courses not meeting SCF standards. A big win in the fight against addiction. Today, the U.S. Senate passing Congressman Vern Buchanan's opioid bill. The proposal would create a national database for patients. The guide would link people with health care providers. It would also give them access to the federal opioid prescribing guidelines. It will also be available to everyone. The bill will go to the president's desk for his signature. Yesterday, we reported many of us in Sarasota County are requesting vote-by-mail ballots, and today, the state numbers were released. As of this morning, more than 2.5 million voters in the state had requested vote-by-mail ballots. More than 1 million voters from each major political party have asked for absentee ballots, with slightly more Democrats than Republicans requesting them. 500,000 voters with no party affiliation will also see ballots in their mailboxes in the coming days. So far, more than 4,200 Floridians have already cast their votes, with just under 5 weeks remaining until Election Day.
We are already receiving ballots. The election actually is in progress, and we're excited to be hitting the beginnings of the general election for 2018.
Early expects voter turnout for the general election to be significantly higher than the 27.5% statewide percentage during last month's primary. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan, with the first look forecast. Bob.
We're starting off with red tide. The good news is, as the midweek report has come out from the FWC, the numbers have gone down in Sarasota and Manatee County. Still, we have some high concentrations in Sarasota and some moderate concentrations in Manatee County. But notice these dots that you see right here. The only one you see red is that one right there. That's 1 million cells per liter, and that's right near and south of Venice. But right next to it, it's not present. What the report is saying is that it's becoming a lot more patchier out there and not as widespread, but it still exists all the way from Pinellas County down into Collier County, south of Fort Myers. And it may be due to the strong east winds we've had over the past 4 days now. And those east winds are going to continue. And it's not over, but it's a good sign nonetheless. And a lot more people are getting out to the beaches and enjoying some of that. Now we are looking at a beautiful sunset tonight. Calm conditions out on the waters with an east wind typically. We'll see the winds and seas about 15 knots tomorrow morning. A little bit brisk out there to start things off, but it should be a beautiful, spectacular sunset, and not much rain out there either as a result of some drier air that has moved in. That dry air limiting our shower activity. You can see we've had a few brief showers now and again. There's not much left out there. Maybe a possibility of a sprinkle here or there, or a brief shower or two moving through parts of the Sun Coast. You can see that activity just to the west now of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, pushing to the west, but nothing beyond that. Looking at our current conditions, it's 84. Lots of sunshine, just a few clouds, and the dew point is now in the 60s, which is always quite nice. Makes it a little bit more comfortable out there. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. This might be the most exciting race for governor in years. A charismatic African-American mayor versus one of President Trump's favorite congressmen. Do the Democrats have a real chance to win the governor's mansion for the first time in 20 years? ABC7's Jess Dowdrick has a look at this heated race. Jess.
Alan, if this year's gubernatorial primary would have went like those in the past, Florida would have ended up with two establishment candidates, Republican Adam Putnam and Democrat Gwen Graham. But the 2018 primary was anything but ordinary. Voters spoke, and it's two near polar opposites battling to be our next governor, Ron DeSantis and Andrew Gillum.
Let's bring it home, everybody.
Florida's Democratic gubernatorial nominee, Andrew Gillum, stood on Siesta Beach this week promising clean water if elected.
There is no corporate profit big enough to be able to take away our clean water. Right? There is no entity out there powerful enough to be able to contaminate our air and our water and our beaches, which all of us enjoy recreating in from time to time.
Gillum winning the nomination thanks in part to the state's black voters who came out to the polls in record numbers to elect their first black major party nominee for Florida governor.
In Hillsborough County, which has a large percentage of black voters, Gillum won by a big margin. In Sarasota, where only 3% of the voters are black, he not only didn't win, he ran third.
His Republican challenger, Ron DeSantis, winning his nomination in part thanks not only to President Donald Trump's endorsement, but also the president's visit to the Tampa Bay area. DeSantis did not reply to several interview requests from ABC7, the former congressman primarily only doing interviews for Fox News.
Something else kept him alive prior to that, and that was continued appearances on Fox News, putting his face in front of hundreds of thousands of likely Florida Republican primary voters. That amounted to millions of dollars worth of free airtime for DeSantis.
Gillum has taken a 4-point lead in the polls, recently receiving former President Barack Obama's endorsement. But really, this election could still go either way. Political correspondent for the Tampa Bay Times, William March, expects DeSantis to run millions of dollars in negative ads between now and November. And it's up to Gillum to survive the lead.
They do make a difference. Everybody hates them, but politicians still use them for one reason: they work. What their main effect is to knock down the voter enthusiasm, maybe the voter turnout for your opponent.
The race may come down to a personality contest.
Gillum is exciting, a charismatic speaker on the stump. Ron DeSantis is comparatively stiff in front of crowds of people. He's a lot more at home in a TV studio, for example, doing an interview, a Fox News interview, than he is in front of a crowd of people.
Both candidates are young, 39 years old, which could play to the younger voters in the state. The last Democrat to be elected Florida's governor was back in 1990.
Jess, thanks. We have it covered with the Prince of Political Science on the Suncoast, the Jack of all trades in the Sarasota Republican Party, and the Pied Piper of political reporting. But coming up first, our exclusive interview with Ron DeSantis' pick for Lieutenant Governor.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Accords on sale is now during our model year-end sale. Drive new Accords for just $249 a month. Get an Accord, the North American car of the year, for less than the competition. With more standard features than Camry, Honda Sensing, multi-angle camera, turbocharged engine, and more. New Accords, just $249 a month. Your last chance for Accords, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
America was built on a love for the outdoors. We are a nation of sportsmen, blessed with magnificent natural resources. With broad interests across water and field, we are united in our devotion to nature and conservation. Join us every week for the best shows celebrating the outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor America. Live free.
This weekend on the ABC7 live stream. Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Watch Suncoast View weekdays at 9 a.m. on ABC7.
Welcome back. The roundtable in the moment, but first the DeSantis campaign. The Republican gubernatorial campaign got a major boost this week when he hired Susie Wiles as his chair, who only helped Donald Trump win Florida. And joining us right now is Ron DeSantis' pick for lieutenant governor, State Representative Jeanette Nunes, who is, by the way, the first Cuban-American woman to be chosen in Florida. We're going to be with her with a second. We're working out some technical issues there. But so why don't we get to our roundtable right now? And joining us is Zach Anderson from the Herald Tribune, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Keith Fitzgerald, the former state representative. And Zach, let me start with you because they're almost from day one after the primary. Gillum has basically been leading in the polls, but the new poll came out today showing that the race is much closer, 45 to 44%, and some people are wondering if there is a Kavanaugh effect to this, that Republicans are getting energized because they don't like what's happening in Washington right now.
A number of the recent polls were done during the Kavanaugh hearings last week, and they're definitely, you hear from Republicans that they're angry at how Brett Kavanaugh was treated. They don't think that he was given due process here. This definitely seems to have motivated Republicans to some degree. I think it has also motivated Democrats who maybe don't think that Dr. Ford's allegations have been treated seriously enough, but it definitely looks like there was a national poll out recently. I think NPR with some other organizations did a poll that said the enthusiasm gap between Republicans and Democrats appears to have closed.
Chuck, is this what you've been waiting for, not under the ideal circumstances, but have you been looking for something to engage the Republican voter because the news over the last few weeks has been so bleak?
Well, and also you've got to realize that these are two candidates that came, out of the pack to win their primaries. So there's a lot to learn about, especially with Mayor Gillum. We're just learning and finding out what's happening out there. And so I think, this is just the beginning. The October surprise is yet to come. You never know. There's, you think about it, 36 out of 40 people being investigated by that FBI investigation in Tallahassee, they were all donors of his. So I think there's a lot more on both, to find out.
Jack, I'll ask this again, and I want to stay on the polls for a second, but since when do Republicans get concerned about FBI investigations?
Well, in this case, I'm very concerned about it. I want to make sure to see what's going on.
Keith, the flip side of this whole Kavanaugh effect is if Republicans are closing the enthusiasm gap right now, if Kavanaugh is confirmed to the high court, I would imagine that your Democratic voters are going to be quite perturbed.
The indications we've had so far is that the Democratic Party is more enthusiastic already than it's ever been in a midterm. So I'm not worried about that. And it's a mistake to pay any attention to one poll here or one poll there because they bounce around. The thing that is incredible to me is how excited young people are about Andrew Gillum across the state. They're volunteering, they're showing up. And if nothing else comes out of this, I think that that's a great thing, because young people haven't had much positive to look at in politics for the last several years, and they're really enthusiastic about this young man.
Okay, let's try to join State Representative Jeanette Nunez, who is the pick of Ron DeSantis for Lieutenant Governor. Representative, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for bearing with me with the technology challenge.
I appreciate it, and welcome to what we call the trapezoid around here. I want to ask you about a couple of issues, but first I want to talk about the campaign itself. As you may have heard, when we led into this segment, we talked about your campaign hiring Susie Wiles to be the chair of the campaign, and as we all know, she helped Donald Trump win Florida. How much of a difference do you hope that makes? Because, you know, we've been seeing stories over the last few weeks, including by Adam Smith of the Times, who labeled the DeSantis campaign wobbly, and that really changes needed to be made.
Well, certainly Susie is a welcome addition. She's a seasoned professional. She's someone that has a track record. We're excited to have her. And I think that obviously a lot of the rhetoric that's been out there, a lot of the media hoopla about the status of our campaign is just that. Our campaign is doing well. Ron and I are traveling the state. We're making sure that every Florida voter has a chance to hear our message, our vision, our platform for Florida, and we're excited about the opportunity to continue moving forward.
Well, let's talk about that message and that platform right now, because one of the criticisms has been the lack of a concise, coherent platform. If you were to boil it down, what would that be in terms of what is the one single message you want voters here on the Suncoast to have?
Well, we certainly want Florida voters to recognize that Ron and I are the ticket that's going to protect Florida. It's going to keep Florida moving forward. We're going to keep our taxes low. We're going to keep our communities safe. We are going to make sure that we address the water quality issues and environmental issues that are so critical to the economy, but really to the lifeblood of our state. And we're going to make sure that we continue to push forward education. That's very important. As a mother of three, I want to make sure that we continue to work hard on all these issues. I want to make sure that we continue to push Florida forward, because our opponent's track record, all of his policies are going to take us steps backwards. And we want to make sure that Florida voters, no matter where you are, we're going to continue to push forward. We're going to continue to put money in the pocket of hardworking Floridians, not in bureaucracy.
Let me ask you about one particular issue in education, which is always on the minds of Suncoast voters here. There are two different versions or visions of education here in Florida. As you know, Mayor Gillum is talking about raising corporate taxes to increase teacher pay to $50,000. Representative Gillum DeSantis has a quite different approach in terms of charter schools and so forth. Make the case why your vision of education, public education in Florida is better than what the Gillum campaign is talking about.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. If you look at where we are at as a state, if you look at education and all the strides we've made, if you look at the fact that we're now listed as the only state in the country that has made significant gains for our children, ultimately what Ron and I are committed to doing is ensuring that all of our children have the highest quality education. And whether that means that those students with special needs and disabled students that currently avail themselves of scholarships and take that money and go elsewhere because they found that those schools are a better fit for them, we want to make sure that parents are in control. Ron has been very clear. He wants to continue to make sure that our funding formula for our schools, that we're driving those dollars to the classroom. But ultimately, we're going to look at working out a way with the formula currently today, eliminating some of the bureaucracy, and make sure that our teachers are well compensated. And we believe that there's a way to do it to ensure quality, to ensure that parents are in control, but that also recognizes the important work that our teachers do for us day in and day out.
Let me ask you one more question, and I know that Representative Gillum has been on the Suncoast, gone to our beaches, seen the impact of red tide. Mayor Gillum has done the same thing here, but there's been a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks of the Florida legislature and Governor Scott in terms of rolling back some of the environmental regulations that some people believe contributed to the severity of red tide. You're in the Florida legislature. What would you do differently in terms of trying to do whatever is possible governmentally to stop some of the issues that people believe are contributing to the severity of red tide?
Well, first of all, Ron has a proven track record. He's someone that's been talking about the environment, someone that has showed leadership. And as it relates to the Florida legislature, this year, under the leadership of President Negron and the legislative leaders, we put hundreds of millions of dollars towards repairing the dike, towards making sure that our beaches are protected, making sure that we're investing money in our springs and restoring our water quality. And so there's a lot that we've done over the past 2, 4, 6 years, but certainly we recognize that there's a lot yet to be done. And Ron is someone that on day one is going to work with the administration, someone that's going to make sure that the federal government is also meeting their ends of the bargain, because there has been comprehensive Everglades restoration projects in the books for years. And the federal government owes Florida a lot of money. And I can assure you that Ron DeSantis on day one is going to get that money flowing down to Florida to address not just red tide, but obviously the blue-green algae, which is a very big problem for our economy, for our health, for our well-being of our Florida residents. So we're excited about our environmental plan, and we're looking forward to working hard for every Florida.
Okay, Representative Nunez, thank you very much for joining us. Jeanette Nunez is the Lieutenant Governor candidate for Congressman Ron DeSantis. Our conversation on the race for governor continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Alan. And speaking of keeping our state of Florida in good health, it looks like it's getting better, at least from this vantage point from Holmes Beach. You can see some beach umbrellas out there, and a lot of folks actually getting in the water at times too. The east wind really helps out with that, and the fact that the midweek report has come in showing pretty good conditions out there. A lot of folks checking out the sunset too. It's always good to see that. Boy, just a few weeks ago when all the dead fish were washing up ashore and nasty smell and the west winds were around, things have really changed. You can see these low clouds here. These clouds are moving almost due west. There's a little piece of energy right here east of the Bahamas. This is going to work its way close to us tomorrow. It'll give us a little bit better chance for a few scattered showers late in the day, but we're not expecting much in terms of any kind of heavy rainfall for a long duration because of that east wind, and that's around an area of high pressure that continues to locate right over the Carolinas now, and that's providing us with that east wind, and it looks like we'll see that tomorrow as well. Right now, one lone shower there just south of St. Petersburg heading off to the west. There's not much in our area, and it should stay that way for the most part overnight. There's that dry air that we were talking about yesterday. It has filtered in. You can see it making its way all the way out into the Gulf of Mexico here, and that's the reason why the showers that did pop up, and there were only a few, didn't last too long because it tapped into that dry air. But you can see that little piece of energy right there. That's going to slowly work off to the west and not give us much of a chance for rainfall, but there'll be a few around. To start the day off tomorrow morning, right around 7 to 9 o'clock, we'll see fair skies, lots of sunshine, a few fair weather cumulus clouds coming in. And then shortly after 3, a few scattered showers and a few thunderstorms as some moisture kind of works its way off to the west. The rain chances at around 40% tomorrow. They lessen on Friday, in fact, as some drier air moves in behind that little weak system. And that means good news for the high school football action. Looks to be okay again for Friday. Well, this is not good news. This is an area that we have to watch closely during this time of year. I noticed over the past several decades that when storms develop late in the season, they have a tendency to fire up here in the Western Caribbean, and naturally they get put into the Gulf of Mexico down the road. This one is expected to move in that general direction. There's nothing really there yet. There's a broad area of low pressure. Pressures have been falling very slowly. There's nothing organized. We still have some strong winds coming from the west here and the upper levels of the atmosphere as well, so that would inhibit any kind of development. That's why you saw the 0% chance of it developing over the next couple of days. But in 4 or 5 days from now, as it makes its way to the northwest portion of the Caribbean, there's a chance we could be dealing with something there. So we'll watch that closely. This one out here affecting no land at all. It's going to now move northward. It's been around for over 9 days, hanging out in the Atlantic. It's Leslie. Those are the kind of storms we like to have no impact on any land area. It is having a minor impact. I shouldn't say no impact. We're getting some high surf, and we will continue to do so from the system along the eastern seaboard there as a result of that hurricane, the 6th hurricane of the season. The next one up is Michael, and then followed by Nadine. Hopefully that'll be the end of them. As far as the beach and boating goes, northeast winds, a little bit brisk, 15 knots. It'll subside 5 to 10 in the afternoon. And the extended forecast then calling for a 40% chance for late day showers mainly. The temperatures unfortunately stay warm, upper 80s to low 90s right through the weekend and beyond. That's slightly above average, and I looked at the long range models, no cold fronts in sight. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
The Players Center presents the wild Broadway season opener, Annie, Get Your Gun. There's no business like show business. This slice of magical American musical theater will thrill you with the classic tunes of Irving Berlin. Call the Players Center at 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. Annie, Get Your Gun, September 18th through October 7th. Let's go on with the show.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Building more affordable housing in the city and county of Sarasota will preview a 9 o'clock meeting that looks at making the whole process easier for developers. That's tomorrow on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
So we continue to watch that big ridge of high pressure off the Carolina coast. Could provide us with a few more showers this week. We'll talk about that.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits. You get all this coverage for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas, and Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals. So call or go online today. Find out if your doctor is part of the Humana network and get your free decision guide. Discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking about the race for governor. This time you can't say the same old, same old. It's safe to say the Republican establishment on the Suncoast wanted Adam Putnam, but President Trump wanted Congressman Ron DeSantis and came here to endorse him, and that was enough for Republican voters. And as for Andrew Gillum wasn't leading in any of the Democratic polls during the primary, but he's been leading them in nearly every one since winning the nomination. And joining us for more are former State Representative Keith Fitzgerald, Jack Brill, the Vice Chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune. And Keith, let me start with you. When you have a situation where Mayor Gillum has been leading in practically every poll since day one of the fall campaign, are you concerned about a perception that, well, we got this in the bag?
No, it's Florida. Florida is always close. It always closes. The last several statewide elections going back to the year 2000, have been close. And the Democrats are mobilized and fired up. There is no way they're going to let their foot off the gas pedal at this point.
But Jack, at least over the last 8 years, there was never an expectation going into the fall campaign, once you had the nominees from both parties, that the Democrats really had the leg up here. I know that it's taken a while for Congressman DeSantis to get his sea legs under him in terms of building this campaign structure, but what are your hopes in terms of basically overcoming what you're seeing in the polls right now?
Well, everyone's getting their sea legs, so to speak. You know, the campaign, I've seen a lot of action in the last several days. The plans are all in place. The absentee ballots went out yesterday. I'm looking at it was yesterday, I'm sorry. And, you know, so now the ground game here in Sarasota County, like everywhere else in the other 67 counties, are in action. I think you're going to see, I'm going to use Sarasota County, we as Republicans are going to come back with another 85 to 87% absentee ballot return, and that's not even our strong suit. Our strong suit for Sarasota County is election day voters. We always come out on election day, and that's giving the campaigns really a lot of good time to get the message out, change things around so that DeSantis does go to victory.
Zach, what are you seeing on the ground? We keep on hearing about, you know, how Mayor Gillum is drawing huge crowds everywhere he goes. When Ron DeSantis comes to town, let's just keep it here on the Suncoast. Are you seeing the same thing?
He had a pretty decent crowd. He was at Dolphin Aviation for a rally a little while back, and you know there was maybe around 100 people there. Gillum yesterday at the Siesta Key Beach Pavilion maybe had 50%, maybe almost twice that many people, 150 to 200 people. It does seem like Gillum, he's got a lot of true believers. You know, the Democrats for a long time didn't have candidates that really were really motivating to a lot of them. A lot of the progressive base didn't like some of the moderate candidates that the Democrats have put up. There are a lot of people are really fired up. It's hard to say whether this is, just the hardcore activists and they're really excited, or if this is crossing over to other folks.
Well, what's your sense of the DeSantis voter out there, the people who are coming out to his rallies? Are they passionate or are they geeked about Congressman DeSantis?
You don't get he's not quite as energetic or charismatic. He's still a pretty strong speaker on the stump, so I don't know if it's quite as impassioned, but he definitely has a pretty strong core of supporters, and Republicans are motivated. They're motivated to defend President Trump. They're motivated by this Brett Kavanaugh and how they feel he's been treated. I don't think that there's a huge enthusiasm gap necessarily right now, although it does seem like the crowds are a little bit more amped up at the Gillum events.
And Keith, crowd side does not necessarily translate to victory on election day here, but compare this to the last two gubernatorial elections with Charlie Crist and Alex Sink before that in terms of where the Democratic voter is at.
Well, I'll tell you, I compare it to Charlie Crist, who's a friend of mine and a great guy, but Charlie really did not have a very rich policy agenda. Andrew Gillum is very specific about a broad range of policies. He has, the speaker you had on earlier, Nunez, talked about a lot of generalities. I could give you, half an hour show on any one of Gillum's proposals. So there's a great deal of substance, and it actually has united the party across the spectrum because there are a lot of pragmatic, solid, interesting, exciting policies. So it's a policy-centered campaign in addition to the charisma of the candidate.
All right, I want to pick up on that in a moment, but we are just getting warmed up. Our conversation on the race for governor will continue after a quick break. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Chef Allen, and watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up our most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix to sample, pick up the recipe card, and all the ingredients.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hot, hot. It's the Gatto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gatto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gatto location near you or visit Gatto.com.
Gatto's got it.
Know your land, know your prey.
What are we doing?
Saturdays at 5:30 and Sundays at 2 on the ABC7 live stream. ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch ABC7 wherever you are on our live stream on mysuncoast.com, on the ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, dining with recipes, and My Suncoast restaurant guide. Visit mysuncoast.com. Click on the Apps tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for Apple and Android.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
America was built on a love for the outdoors. We are a nation of sportsmen, blessed with magnificent natural resources. With broad interests across water and field, we are united in our devotion to nature and conservation. Join us every week for the best shows celebrating the outdoor lifestyle. Outdoor America. Live free.
This weekend on the ABC7 live stream.
As smart as our pets might be, they can't advocate for themselves. That's why it's important you make your pet part of your family's disaster preparedness plan. Talk to your veterinarian and visit banfieldfoundation.org/disaster. Don't save it for a rainy day.
Download the all-new ABC7 First Alert Weather app now.
Welcome back. We are talking about the race for governor, and joining us for more, our former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune. So, Jack, Keith was talking about the specificity of the Gillum campaign. Where is the DeSantis campaign in terms of coming out with a coherent, concise platform? Because most of what voters have heard from the DeSantis campaign is that Gillum is a socialist.
But there's also been a lot of specifics about the environment. There's been specifics about, continued job creation, keeping this economy going, keeping, the growth that we need. We need to have an economy, we've got another 6 million people coming to the state in the next 8-9 years. We need to have people here, and a lot of them are going to be 65 and above. We need people here that are going to be able to provide the services to take care of the population. You start taxing, corporations. You start adding, different taxes on different levels. That's going to cause the job creation to go down, so that our citizens, we won't have the opportunities to be, taken care of.
Keith, respond to that.
Well, first of all, everybody would say one of the biggest issues that we have here in the state of Florida will be health care. They don't have anything on health care, no plan, nothing. So your original comments were apt. There really hasn't been much in the way of specificity. And you can say you're for jobs, but what are you going to do about it? By the way, corporate tax increases are all on big corporations. Walmart's not leaving the state of Florida.
But it does affect small businesses, though, and that can really be very detrimental to.
But the proposal is not to tax
Zach,
small businesses.
These two gentlemen are actually talking about policy. Do you get any sense in terms of voters, are they looking in terms of policy details like that, or more of personality?
I think in modern politics, it's a lot more about personality. The voters sort of get the sense of where the parties stand on these policies. They've been, following politics. The positions haven't changed dramatically over the years. I do think some issues like red tide, which there's a bipartisan just angst about that. I think those are things that can sort of move people, and people want to hear what your views are on those. But for the most part, I think people are looking, do they like this person? Do they trust this person? Does this person, you know, kind of come off as somebody who I can see in the office of governor? And so I think people are still kind of waiting to find out more about these candidates. They weren't that well known before they won their primaries.
Do you get any sense in terms of the coattails here? Because there was some discussion at the onset of this campaign that Andrew Gillum may be Bill Nelson's best friend in terms of his race for the U.S. Senate. What about all the state rep races, the congressional races down here? Are you seeing any kind of impact in terms of the governor races and the governor's race impact on these other races?
It's hard to really tell at this point, but one thing that's certain is that Andrew Gillum is motivating more, seems to be motivating more younger voters. You see it at some of his events. He seems to be motivating more minority voters. That could be a big benefit for the Democrats who have struggled to mobilize some of those voters. And also on the DeSantis side, he's really tied to Trump, the Trump voter who maybe doesn't pay attention. There's a lot of people, even on the Republican side, who probably don't pay as close attention to midterm elections, but if they think that DeSantis has Trump's back, maybe they're more motivated to vote in the midterms.
That raises an interesting question because, you know, the perception is that President Trump really single-handedly helped DeSantis win this primary by coming down to Tampa, endorsing him, and that really moved the base here. But in the intervening weeks, DeSantis has angered President Trump by being critical of the president's response to Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Jack, I mean, is there an open question about whether the president is going to return to Florida this month before the election to help, you know, do whatever he can for DeSantis?
Obviously, we don't know the schedule, but I'm sure if there's, you know, a need and an opportunity, the president will come down and support Congressman DeSantis. I think that will be a very positive thing for the base, and it'll also show more of what we were talking about, you know, more policies, more ideas, things that Congressman DeSantis has been worked on in Congress, will work on as governor. The great thing, you know, he'll be able to work with the legislature to continue to get things done. And, you know, you've got to look at, you know, you talk about the red tide. There's been a lot of things that have happened in a very positive. You know, one example, Congressman Buchanan, $80 million in red tide funding, along with Congresswoman Kathy Kastner 10 years ago.
By the way,
we got another $2.5 million.
There are some indications that MOAT has not seen that money.
But the new money, it was just approved, so, you know, it takes a little time to get it through. But, you know, even in the county, on the county level in Sarasota County, we were taken off in 2009 off of the water endangered list by the Department of Environmental Protection. We do so many things that have happened under Republican, you know, time in Sarasota. Red
tide is worse than we have seen.
Red tide is, but from a Sarasota County standpoint, you know, I'll give you one example that helps with red tide. Our newest landfill, it's got a system that filters every drop of water before it hits down to Northport and Charlotte County. You know, one of the things Representative Julio Gonzalez 3 years ago got $300,000 to help finish the sewer systems in Englewood. This stuff, it all takes time, and you look at the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent in the last 15 years by the legislature and locally to help this area.
All right, we have to take a quick break. We'll be back for final thoughts in a moment. Stay with us.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
It fell off the roof of my car.
It fell out of my backpack.
Oh, it fell off my grocery cart.
I tossed it to a really clumsy friend.
I tripped while jogging.
My 2-year-old had a temper tantrum.
It bounced down 2 flights of stairs.
No matter how you broke your smartphone, there's only one smart way to fix it. Batteries plus bulbs.
I dropped it on the floor, and he stepped on it.
Schedule your repair at batteriesplus.com.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
And our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. So Keith, I was asking Jack about do you really need Donald Trump to come down here and be on the stump for Ron DeSantis? The question is, who do the Democrats have to do the same? Because obviously, you know, I don't know if Obama would have that kind of effect on the base for Gillum at this stage. Hillary coming to Miami in a couple of weeks, I don't know if that's going to do it.
Well, Andrew Gillum is such a charismatic figure. I think right now in Florida, he is much more popular than Hillary or Bernie. Obama, I think, would help, but he doesn't really need outside help to fire up the base. For one thing, he's just a phenomenally talented speaker, and I think he's going to get the African Americans in particular and young people who are the very groups that drop off from a general election, presidential election, to a primary or to an off-year election. That's who Democrats lose, and that's who they need to fire up.
Jack, let me ask you if you're concerned about just that, because I mind you that that Rick Scott beat Alex Sink 8 years ago by 60,000 votes.
Mm-hmm. And I think what you've got to look at is we're going to look at the polls in October. Let the two candidates debate. I don't know, they've got 3 or 4 debates scheduled.
I think 2.
2 right now? Okay, there's been talk of different ones. Then we can get into the policies. Then we can talk about facts, and then where they've got to face each other. And then I think you're going to see the true differences, and you really see where Andrew Gillum is, how far out there he is, and the positions that Congressman DeSantis is going to take that will keep the state going. That's where the difference, or so to speak, the rubber meets the road.
Okay, 2 questions, Zach. Number 1, is Andrew Gillum that far out there in terms of where the Democratic Party is on these issues? And number 2, what are you looking at over the next 4 weeks in terms of indicators of where this is going to go?
Andrew Gillum is definitely on the very progressive wing of the party. Is he super outside the mainstream? I mean, a lot of people supported Bernie Sanders, and Andrew Gillum basically mirrors Bernie Sanders. So I think that he's, you know, kind of on the outer edges of the mainstream, as is Ron DeSantis. He's very conservative, but he's on the outer edges of the mainstream. What I'm really looking at, I still believe that independent voters matter. Both of these candidates really fire up their base, and Republicans are going to come out for DeSantis. Democrats are motivated this year, and Gillum seems to be motivating them even more. But I'm really interested in independents. The candidate that wins independents in Florida tends to win the race, and Obama won independents. He won Florida in his two times that he ran for president. Trump won independents, and he won Florida. So we'll see who wins independents. I think that'll say a lot.
To be determined. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We want to thank our guests, former State Representative Keith Fitzgerald, Jack Brill, the Vice Chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune. When we return, TikTok, The clock is ticking for the FBI to investigate the allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, but the FBI has yet to interview him or his accuser. What up with that? Right now, let's get the final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, right now on the ABC7 tower cam, this was just shot at 7 o'clock. You can see the sun going down, some nice crepuscular rays there as the clouds cast some shadows over the sky. And pretty calm conditions out there in the water. It's a good night for outdoor activities, and it looks like it'll stay that way too. As far as the winds go, they've all been out of the east and northeast today. No sea breeze kicking in, a bit breezy out there at times, but it's been nice for the red tide, hasn't it? The red tide effects, at least the harmful impacts, being blown offshore for the time being. And it looks like it's going to stay that way too as high pressure dominates the weather over much of the southeastern United States. In fact, the eastern third of the nation under that influence of high pressure will bring us that east wind, and that east wind will again bring us nice conditions again tomorrow. There's a few showers though kicking off near Pinellas County just offshore of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. These are heading to the west, and we could see a pop-up shower here or there, but most areas will stay out of the rainfall through the rest of this evening and overnight and throughout most of the day tomorrow. The GOES satellite imagery does show a little disturbance east of the Bahamas right now. That'll be working across South Florida, I think, on Thursday, bringing with it a slight chance for an increase in a few more showers, but not a lot, as it makes its way off to the west. The futurecast showing all the rain gone for the most part. Clear skies overnight. It looks good, and tomorrow sunshine to start the day, and with an east wind. We always have a tendency to warm up a little bit here, so we'll warm up above average, and we'll see a few brief showers around tomorrow afternoon, maybe a little bit more than we've seen today. Friday, a little less action as that dry air comes back into play, and things are looking pretty good on that. Now, as far as the system down to our south goes, you'll hear a lot about this over the upcoming 5 days as it makes its way slowly to the northwest. Conditions could become a little bit more favorable for development, say on Saturday and Sunday as it nears the northwest Caribbean, and then eventually, possibly, into the Gulf of Mexico. Still, a lot has to be taken into consideration. The water temperatures here, extremely warm in the Gulf, right around 90 degrees, and so we have to keep an eye on that. And we're keeping an eye on this system way out in the Atlantic, not doing a whole lot. It's just kind of sitting out there and spinning around, getting rid of excessive energy. That's what these things do out there. There's the current path that it's taken already, and then the forecast track is going to go off to the north and then eventually to the southeast. And it's already starting to generate some waves. Get a look at this. The wave heights near it, 28 feet. And even down into Florida, South Florida, they're going to see some big waves along the east coast, and a lot of surfers will be headed out there. Already the wave height's up to 7 feet just offshore. Temperature right now, 84 degrees with a nice east wind. For boaters, seas will be running less than right around 2 feet or so with a light chop in the bays and inland waters. The extended forecast then does call for slight chances for showers right through the weekend. Al will be back right after this.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hot, hot. It's the Ghetto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Ghetto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Ghetto location near you or visit Ghetto.com.
Ghetto's got it.
Rugs as Art. You know the name, you know the building, but do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore, but there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
There are lots of people who are confused about which Medicare plan is right for them.
Hey, that's me. I barely know where to start.
Well, start here with me, Karen. I'm a licensed Humana sales agent.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Karen. I'm John Smith.
Hi, John. At Humana, we know you're unique, so you have different needs from other John Smiths.
Yeah, I've always thought so.
And together, we can find a plan that's right for you.
Great. I go to the doctor a couple of times a year, and I have some prescriptions, but I'm never fully sure of what's covered and what's not.
With Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans, you get coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable and sometimes no monthly plan premium.
Do you have any more information?
Sure. I'll get a decision guide in the mail to you today. They're free.
Finally, someone who understands the real me.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide. Call a licensed Humana sales agent today.
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC7 News app.
And ABC's Lana Zach has the latest with the Brett Kavanaugh allegations.
With possibly just hours left before the FBI concludes its investigation into sexual assault accusations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, accusations he fully and vehemently denies, both sides are making their final rebuttals in public.
There's an issue that should matter even to them, and that is the credibility and temperament of Judge Kavanaugh.
She's been treated like a Fabergé egg by all of us, beginning with me and the president. He's pointing out factual inconsistencies.
The testimony by Dr. Ford was compelling, but you can't make this decision based on emotion. It has to be based on fact.
The White House put on the defensive after President Trump supporters laughed and applauded as the president mocked Christine Blasey Ford.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Senators on both sides of the aisle disagreeing with the president's remarks.
I thought his comments were disgraceful and shows that he has no empathy for survivors of sexual violence.
The president's comments were just plain wrong.
Including one of Kavanaugh's most vocal supporters, Senator Lindsey Graham.
I don't like what the president said last night.
But that's not changing his overall opinion.
I thought Kavanaugh was treated like crap. Yeah, well, boo yourself.
As soon as the FBI files its report, the Senate Majority Leader will start the cloture process, moving towards a final vote. And we're told from our sources right now that Senate Republicans and the White House are debating whether or not to make that FBI report public. Lana Zach, ABC News, Washington.
That's all the time we have. Good night.